To show on the road. Okay, are you folks ready? Okay. Good evening. Welcome to all of you who are here and those of you who are joining us on Zoom. This meeting of the Coventry Town Council will now come to order at 6:02. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Ann Dickson.
Here.
Jennifer Ludwig. Here. Jamie LeBlanc.
Here.
Hillary Lima. Here. Kimberly Shockley.
Here. Mr. Spearman, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and then provide the emergency evacuation plan? Thank you.
Take the hats off, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated.
The emergency evacuation, let's just get away from the doors in the back, please, if you don't mind. And if there's an emergency, quote the rear exits and go to your right or left and take the outside. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Spearman. The first item on our agenda is A3, approval of the Town Council meeting minutes for May 8th, which were emailed to the members of the council. May 24th, which is reference page 5, and June 14th, reference page 17. Madam Clerk, did you receive any corrections for the May 8th meeting minutes?
No.
Okay. Did you receive any corrections for May 24th?
No.
Did you receive any corrections for June 14th?
Yes.
Have these corrections been made?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes for May 8th and May 24th and the amended meeting minutes for June 14th?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Roll call. Madam Clerk?
Jennifer Ludwig.
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc.
Yes.
Hillary Lima.
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley.
Yes.
Ann Dickson.
Thank you. 5 yeas, no nays, the motion passes. Thank you. We're very, very pleased to have as one of our agenda items this evening, a public recognition of very special teams and young people in our community who are participating in some type of athletic endeavor. So thank you so much for coming. And you all look very, very professional and ready to play another game this evening. So thank you. Is there anyone here who represents the Coventry High School softball team this evening? Please come forward. Good evening. Please stand at the podium. Give us your name and address.
Hi, I'm Coach Deb Canuck, and these are some of the teammates of the Division I state championship team.
Would you please introduce them?
Oh, you can come in, introduce yourselves.
I'm Emily Cronin. I'm Sam Bergantino.
I'm Elisa Coscio. I'm Haley Primrose.
Excellent. Ms. Ludwig, our Vice President, suggested that we recognize you, and she's going to read a special recognition document for you. Ms. Ludwig.
So we know that you were recognized by the school committee very recently, but we also wanted to share congratulations and give something from the town council as well. Okay, so this is a certificate of recognition. The Coventry Town Council and its citizens extend a sincere congratulations to the 2021 Coventry High School softball team on its first place finish in the 2021 Division I statewide high school tournament. Your spring season was exciting, hard fought, and successful. We are proud of the record you have earned by your inspired team play. A huge congratulations to your coaches, Chris Dagnalt, Deb Canuck, Brian Allen, and your players, Mia Allen, Samantha Bergantino, Kelly Brugard, Sophie Shono, Abigail Chukot, Cassidy Chukot, Emily Cronin, Alyssa Garabidian, Diamond Gentil, Ava Hawley, Hannah Hawley, Sarah Henault, Haley Primrose, Elise Sicoscio, Olivia Sicoscio, and Taryn Stevens. It gives the town of Coventry and its citizens great pleasure to extend this commendation to our Coventry High School softball team for its fine efforts and to extend this token of affection and admiration with which you are regarded in this town. In testimony whereof and on behalf of the Honorable Town Council, I've hereto set my hand and caused the seal of the town to be affixed this 13th day. And President Dickson will be signing the certificate and we'll get you some copies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Good evening. Is there anyone here to represent the Coventry Girls Softball League?
They're a little bit younger, so I think they're going to be participating later on Zoom and watching in the morning.
Excellent. Ms. Ludwig recommended that they be recognized. So Ms. Ludwig, please read the recognition certificate.
Sure. And just a little history here. So this is the Coventry Girls Softball League. It's a private organization. However, many of the members are located here in Coventry and we play over at Phillips Hill. I am a secretary on that board, but that means nothing when it comes to the hard work of the young women and ladies on this team and the parents and volunteers who help with these leagues. So the Coventry Town Council and its citizens extend a sincere congratulations to the 2021 Coventry Girls Softball League 10 and under on the first place finish in 2021 USA Statewide's Rhode Island Girls Softball Team Tournament. Your successful season was won through hard work, discipline, athleticism, and a commitment to each other. We are proud of the record you have earned by your inspired team play. So there's a tournament record of 6-0. With 62 runs scored, 2 runs against the entire season, 79, 7, and 2. And that is a lot of play. And I think the people in this room know that's a lot of play for us, for you, and especially for the 10 and under guys. So we are pleased to give a huge congratulations to Board President Gina Cabral, coaches Lon Hall, Jen Cook, Mike Case, Joe Barris, and to these young players, Emily Spadoni, Peyton Barris, Amelia Case, Ella Hall, Frankie Arnold, Kelsey Naughton, Hannah Lyon, Nora Downing, Zoe Thorpe, Selah Michael, and Emily Orthamick. We are pleased to commend our Coventry Girls Softball League 10 and under team for your fine efforts and to extend this token of the affection and admiration with which you are regarded in this town. In testimony whereof and on behalf of the Honorable Town Council, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the town to be affixed this 13th day, and we'll have President Dickson sign this and also get copies to these young ladies. Can we please extend a hand to them? I know they're probably on Zoom.
Excellent. Is there anyone here to recognize the Coventry Little League? Please come forward. Yes, well,
Yamuna,
there's a coach here.
I think we're going to have, so Yamuna, were you going to come up? Okay.
So we'll just wait for this.
Should we have all the boys come up as well?
They will come up after we have the coach come up.
He's walking up.
Yes.
This is the seniors team. All right.
Coach, please come forward. Give your name and address, please.
I have to put you on the spot, Coach.
Coach, where's your official T-shirt?
I didn't have a chance to even get it put on. Hi, I'm Lou Simon, 14 Gentry Farm Drive in Coventry. No number, just Coach.
Would you like to say a couple of words?
Yes, I would. So first off, I'd like to thank my coaching staff, Jack and Pete, where are you? So great job by both those guys helping me out this year. Excuse me. When you have a team like this, it takes a lot of people together, coordination and effort. So coaching staff did a great job. Sorry, just keep running in. I'd also like to thank the parents. Obviously, it's a big time commitment, so the parents can't get there, the kids can't get there. So I had to really appreciate all the time and effort getting the kids on time, getting them to practice, having them all over the place. It was kind of a hectic schedule with the tournament because we were in and out. So a lot of appreciation to the parents and to the other coaches. And out to the boys. Most of these kids have been playing together since they were probably 5 or 6 years old. You know, the whole point of youth sports, in my opinion, is to build friendships, to learn to meet new friends and to do things together as a team. So this team's pretty much the epitome of that. They spent a lot of time together, and a lot of them go into different schools, different age groups, but you know, they all wanted to play together this one last time. So having them all come and spend time together and play together, you know, it shows on the field, the camaraderie, the teamwork, the respect for each other, and overall helps build how the team played. So obviously the results in the field show that, you know, when those things come together, you end up with a pretty good product. As far as the actual tournament goes, you know, the team is obviously very talented. There's a lot of kids on this team who've played at a pretty high level and will continue. We probably have a few, if not a half a dozen D1, D2 prospects for college baseball on this team. But, you know, when they play together, there's a certain confidence that comes from being friends and having those long-term relationships. And you can see the confidence in those kids when they play together. And you can see the confidence in the other kids who gelled onto the team. So when you have all those things combined, the good things come out of it. And as you can see, you know, being a state champion, everything kind of paid off in the end. Then there was one game that we were down. What was the score in that game, guys?
The EG game, right?
We were down, 10 runs in the last inning?
Oh, yeah.
So we were down like 10 runs in the last inning, and that was it. We would have been eliminated. And, you know, these guys believed in each other. They trusted each other and battled their way through. It was pouring rain. It was just terrible conditions, but they ended up coming through and winning at the end. So it says a lot about them as men and speaks to their character. So can't say enough about the kids and what they did this year. So.
Okay, thank you, Coach. I would like to invite your coaching staff to stand beside you.
Sure.
Our Vice President is going to read the proclamation, and then after the proclamation is read, we'll have each member of the Little League team come up to the podium, say the name, and then we'll be able to pass out the proclamations at that time. Okay? So, Ms. Ludwig?
Okay. Whereas the Town of Coventry seniors team of Coventry Little League recently finished its exceptional season and achieved a Rhode Island state championship. And whereas under the guidance of manager Lou Simon, coaches Peter Wilkins and Jack Ellison, and president Yamuna Smith, during the tournament, the team achieved an excellent 3-1 record in the District 3 tournament and 3-0 record in the state tournament. Whereas the team went on to represent the Town of Coventry in Rhode Island state tournament against teams from Johnston, Barrington, and Smithfield. Whereas in both double elimination tournaments, it went a combined 6-1 with their single loss being a closely contested game. The scores in their district wins were 14-13 versus East Greenwich and 11-1 and 2-1 versus South Kingston to secure the District 3 championship. At the state tournament, it produced wins of 12-2 versus Smithfield, 7-1 versus Johnson, and 12-7 versus Johnson again for the state championship. Whereas team members Aaron Anderson, Aiden Wilkins, Dylan Morrow, Jake Fola, Jared DeSantis, Joshua Lima, Cody Fretz, Logan Lama, Logan Moore, Ryan Phelan, Ryan Valerian, Tyler Simon, and Zachary Ellison are wonderful examples to others and have served as ambassadors for the Town of Coventry. Whereas the Town of Coventry is proud of these young individuals and their accomplishments, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Council of the Town of Coventry, on behalf of its citizens, extends its sincerest congratulations to the coaching staff and players of the 2021 Coventry Little League Seniors Rhode Island State Championship. Champions for representing the Town of Coventry in the 2021 Rhode Island Little League District 3 and State Championship tournaments. In testimony whereof and on behalf of the Honorable Town Council, I have herein to set my hand and cause the seal of the town to be affixed this 13th day of September. And President Dickson has signed these, and we'll have a copy for each of the young men.
So, Coach, would you come up and get the proclamations?
Sure.
And then we're going to have each member of the team come forward, say your name at the podium, and the coach will then give you a proclamation. Coach, would you please lower the microphone? So, okay, excellent. Okay, would each one of you come up, please?
Aaron, come on first. That's why I have you.
Say your name, please.
Aaron Anderson. Cody Fretz. Dylan Moreo. Jake Fayola. Logan Moore. Aiden Wilkins. Logan Lama. Zach Ellison. Tyler Simon.
Okay, thank you very much to the coaching staff and to Coach Simon.
Thank you guys very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, athletes, for coming. The next item on our agenda is public comment. We always have public comment at every meeting, but we're also adding it at the beginning of this meeting because some people have a problem staying up late because our meetings go very long. So we're now opening up public comment. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment? I don't see anyone on Zoom. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make a public comment? Okay, we'll close public comment. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming. We appreciate it. I'm sorry. Thank you, athletes, for coming. Okay. You're welcome. Good evening. Members of the council, may I have a motion to adjourn into executive session at 6:17?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
You've got to read. Don't you have to?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, I have it. Excuse me. I have it written down. I'm going to go back. May I have a motion to adjourn an executive session at 6:17 for the following? Close pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A2, discussion pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation, specifically for an update on Soscia versus Coventry KC 2020-0769 litigation with Town Solicitor. And close pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A1, discussion, job performance, character, physical or mental health of a person or persons, specifically for the council to discuss candidates for the following board openings. Charter Review Commission. May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Jennifer Ludwig. Yes. Jamie LeBlanc.
Yes.
Hillary Lima. Yes. Kimberly Shockley.
Yes.
Ann Dickson.
Yes. 5 yeas, no nays. The motion passes. We are now in executive session. Please excuse yourself to the room behind us. Cody, are we ready? Okay, thank you. We're now resumed in public session. May I have a motion to adjourn from executive session at 8:05?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call. Madam Clerk?
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
James LeBlanc,
Yes.
Hillary Lima,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Ann Dixon.
Yes, 5 yeas, no nays. The motion passes. May I have a motion to seal the minutes of the executive session?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call. Madam Clerk?
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
James LeBlanc,
Yes.
Hillary Lima,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Ann Dixon.
Yes. 5 yeas, no nays. The motion passes. The council met in executive session for the following: closed pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A2, discussion pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation, specifically for an update on Soscia versus Coventry, KC 2020-0769 litigation with the Town Solicitor. A discussion took place, no votes were taken. And closed pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A1, discussion of job performance, character, physical, or mental health of a person or persons, specifically for the council to discuss candidates for the following board opening: Charter Review Commission. The council interviewed 4 candidates. No decisions were made. Appointments to the commission will take place as we interview more candidates. We need 9 members to start this commission. The next item on our agenda is the president updates and announcements. First of all, we want to make sure that you all know some of the meetings that we have been participating in. These meetings have been public meetings, but some of you may have not been on Zoom or been able to attend in person. So we just want to give you an update. This is a joint meeting that the school building committee, the town council, and the school committee and legislators had. The meeting took place on Tuesday, August 31st at the Coventry Resource Center on Wood Street in Coventry. Mr. Luke Murray, Chair of the Coventry Building Committee, made a presentation about the proposal for the school reconstruction. Mr. Seth Magaziner, Rhode Island State's Treasurer and architect of the referendum for voter support for state support for school reconstruction, spoke. Also present were 2 members from the Rhode Island Department of Education. Mr. Murray asked members of the Coventry Building Committee questions about the project. There were about 16 people in the audience and an unknown number on Zoom. 2 legislators were also present, Rhode Island State Rep. Nardone and Rhode Island State Senator Rogers. The Coventry Building Committee will also make a present to the council on September 27th, 2021, and we invite you all to come and hear that presentation so that you will be aware of what the Coventry Building Committee is proposing for a school reconstruction bond. Secondly, there was a town council meeting on August 30 to hear a presentation and analysis by Mr. Stephen McGilvery, Esquire, from Pierce Atwood on the installation of the wood generation facilities in the town of Coventry, a discussion of the wet settlement and its impact, and a discussion of residents' concerns with these facilities. Questions were allowed throughout the meeting. There are a number of questions for which there will be follow-up as quickly as possible. Both Mr. McGilvery and Mr. Marchant have a number of questions to get resolved. And I also noticed that in the Coventry Courier recent edition, there was a coverage of this particular meeting. I'd also like to announce that the following board and commission openings are now available. Charter Review Commission, we have 9 openings. Conservation Commission, 3 openings. Sewer Subcommittee, 2 full-time and 2 alternate. Sewer Assessment Board of Review, 1 opening as of November 30th, 2021. 1 Land Trust opening will be available as of November 22, 21. We also have openings on the Parks and Recreation Commission. Next, there will be a joint meeting of the Town Council and School Committee on September 27th, 2021, which will include a presentation by the Coventry Building Committee, as I just mentioned, and a discussion of performance audit proposals and minimum maintenance requirements that are required by the school department. So I think that will be a very important meeting. Please do join us on Zoom, or please come and participate in our public meeting, because we have some very important meetings that will be taking place. Next updates will be by our town manager, Mr. Marchant. Mr.
Do you mind
Marchant?
if I ask one question?
Certainly.
You updated on the Wind Turbine meeting that we had on August 30th. When we left that meeting, there were some takeaways.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering if we have a timeline for when we're expecting answers.
We asked Mr. McGilvery if he might be able to get some responses within a couple of weeks. I did send him a follow-up this week, and I've also, I did send a follow-up this week in order to see where we are on that timeline. We have an answer to one of the questions, but not the rest. So thank you for asking that question, Mrs. Shockley. Our goal is to answer these questions and give public feedback as quickly as possible, and also to the residents. When we make promises, we need to keep them. Mr. Marchant.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to give the board an update on a few items. Back in August, we had sought approval from the town council to pursue a project on Johnson's Boulevard, which would have been a mitigation project to alleviate flooding, especially that had been a big problem in 2010. And this project was precipitated by the work that Kent County Water Authority was doing in that same road, and we were hoping to join their project. Unfortunately, we did not get the DEM permit approval or the sign-offs we needed to fit in the limited time frame that Kent County Water was going through there, and we missed the window because they were patching back the street ahead of the start of school. So that is a project that we saved the money on, and we're going to have to wait to do at a later time. When we do get the approval from DEM, there's a portion of the project that we were still going to do with our own forces, but that was a very small part of the cost. So the major cost all had to do with the work in the roadway, and we'll have to wait on that.
Mr. Marchant?
Yes. Ms. Ludwig.
So can we get some more updates on the actual numbers when you get a chance? So you mentioned it was kind of a small portion there.
Yeah.
Because the number grew a couple times until we hit the 390 that we agreed. So it's just, I'd really like to better understand a closer number of what we're talking about in terms of what we will be able to accomplish. It's not urgent, but
okay,
when we can get that. Thank you.
We'll get you a follow-up report.
Thank you.
On Wednesday this week, September 15th, we'll be having a special meeting with the town council to do a financial health report. Director Mills and I have been working to pull all our finances together in a way that we can present to the public and the town council as to financial health of the town, what our assets are, what our liabilities are, what our debt capacity and budget capacity are. This is somewhat of a preliminary conversation to other conversations that we will be having. Certainly around strategic planning, developing a capital improvements plan, the budget for next year, conversations with the school about funding schools and CIP. There's a lot of financial needs, and we need a good perspective on how to approach that. So I hope everyone will take an interest in it. And if not attend it, then watch the recording. It's a very important part of the reality that the town is in, and we need to pull together for solutions on how to move forward and prepare and plan a brighter future for Coventry.
Just make one comment. This is a single meeting, so there will be no other agenda items on that particular meeting agenda. I have to put my microphone on. Just want to mention that the meeting on the financial health report is a single theme meeting. There will be no other agenda items on that particular meeting evening because we feel that this is a very important discussion for the council and also for the public. Thank you.
I am working on a plan to update the wastewater facilities plan. I had a meeting with the sewer subcommittee last week, and there is interest in doing an RFP for the new facilities plan, as well as looking at an RFQ, request for qualifications, to see what other consultants there may be that could offer these services. The town has worked exclusively with Weston and Sampson since 1982. And so this might refresh the relationship or give the town an opportunity to work with someone with a different perspective. So my plan is to prepare those RFPs and get them out and have the RFPs reviewed by the sewer subcommittee and go from there. We're not prepared to talk about a possible sewer fee increase today, but that will be an integral part of the sewer plan. One of the concerns that we are going to have to balance is the debt to income ratio in the sewer fund. And while the fees are sufficient to cover the operating costs, there's a certain level at which our debts could be called if we don't have sufficient revenues. So we're going to be doing a rate study update and talking about what level of increase may be necessary in the sewer fund for the fees. Any questions on that? Lastly, I'd like to report on another public forum. This was one that Councilmember Lima and I attended on East Shore Drive around Lake Tioga. We met with maybe 50 residents that showed up to talk to us about their concerns pertaining to access to Lake Tioga from East Shore Drive. There's a number of right-of-ways, and each of the right-of-ways is somewhat distinct from the others, and they offer varying degrees of access to the lake. One of the things that we wanted to communicate was that right-of-way is a public designation of land that the town has exclusive right to access for any purpose. A right-of-way does not necessarily guarantee a swimming dock, a boat launch, or anything else. So some right-of-ways might be a paper street. Others might be for stormwater infrastructure. But what we wanted to hear specifically was at the dock at the end of Middle Road, there was some differing opinions about whether that dock was adequate to the expectations. And we were able to verify that the dock that was built met every requirement of the consent decree that was issued in court in writing. And while there were some verbal expectations expressed, since it wasn't in writing, there wasn't really any basis for them as far as expectations. But as we talked with the crowd, we were interested in hearing what they wanted to see. And the answers were mixed. Some people wanted to see the railings on the dock removed and stairs put in so people could get in and swim. Other people were concerned about safety and that would be a bad idea and create an unsafe environment for children or handicapped people that might otherwise want to use the dock for fishing or just enjoying the sunset. So after that, we took a lot of comments. We were able to visit with people individually. There were a couple of safety measures that were brought up that I've addressed with Public Works that we're going to address so that there won't be a pinch hazard where the floating part of the dock meets the land-based part of the dock. And it was a good meeting.
Councilwoman Lima also attended the forum. Would you like to add any comments? Councilmember Lima, would you like to add any comments?
Mr. Marchant pretty sufficiently summed it up, but basically, the purpose of the meeting wasn't to establish any changes or any particular direction. It was just understanding that in just the few short months that I've been elected, it's become clear to me that the usage and maintenance and operation of those right-of-ways is a huge issue, and which was evidenced by the incredible turnout to that public forum in the neighborhood. So there's definitely an appetite from neighbors, and they care about what happens either way. So I just look forward to working with Mr. Marchant and other members of town administration to come to some sort of resolution and continue to listen to those folks over there because they're really passionate about it. So that's it.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, thank you for your report, Mr. Marchant. We're now at agenda item F. We have had, many of us on the council have had emails, people calling us about some potential changes to the Fire Ordinance Chapter 127. So this is a motion on our agenda to request the town manager to review and prepare recommendations for an amendment to the Fire Ordinance Chapter 127. Do I have a motion to ask Mr. Marchant to do this review and recommendation?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? Mrs. Lima?
So I don't know if we're able to distribute or if any of the rest of the council members saw, but there's history to this. It has been discussed in the past. It was brought up maybe, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, and the fire districts and the police all met and they came to an agreement on what they believe would be a new revised version of the ordinance that would allow recreational fires in one's backyard. So I know that Mr. Marchant has that. And I think that should expedite things and moving in that direction. I just want it noted for the record that I did receive probably 10 to a dozen pieces of outreach from people in my district, whether it was email or a Facebook message or any other way. So if we could just, and I know that there's some state law that advises us that we should take the fire district in their opinion on this into consideration, which I think we're doing. So just wanted to point that out.
Thank you very much. Ms. Ludwig?
Why are we voting?
What we are voting is it has been recommended to us that we formally ask Mr. Marchant to review and prepare recommendations for an amendment to the ordinance.
So, Mr. Marchant, can you just explain to us what type of information do you need from the council? You need a vote every time we need to come on something like this, or is it just for policy? What is kind of the expectation for how to review these types of requests going forward?
So a few weeks ago, when this first got put on the agenda, my expectation was that it would be helpful to get policy direction from the board as a whole for policy projects like this. Just out of concern that I could be getting 5 different directions from 5 different council members on different issues, and that if at least there's some consensus about what issues we want to pursue and what the priorities are, that would be helpful to get. Since then, we've had another conversation where it seems that we probably don't need to bring it back to this forum to get that direction. If a council member and the president agree to give the town manager an assignment, that'll be enough for me to prepare and do the research to carry it forward.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
I'm sorry, I'm not done.
Okay.
So here's the thing. I don't think we need full council support if there's something that an individual counselor wants to proceed with on their own. So are you just asking for consensus for items that you're going to use your time and town resources on, or?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So my feedback here would be, I think any person on this council should be able to bring forward an item for review and shouldn't need full council consensus unless we're specifically asking for Mr. Marchant to focus on something. So I just don't want to limit us that only things that we agree on make it forward. So if there's individual items that people are working on, I just don't want to discourage any of us from continuing with that.
Thank you for your feedback. This allows all members of the council to understand what kind of work we're asking Mr. Marchant to participate in. If each of us were to go to Mr. Marchant and say, I want you to look at ordinance number A, and I said ordinance B, Mr. Shockley said ordinance C, he could have 5 different ordinances to do review on, and who's going to set the priority? Because there's so much operational work that is required to be done by the manager. So this just gives an, I guess, privy to all of the members of the council what is being worked on.
Just want to be careful though that we don't have to have everybody's agreement to bring forward ideas. So I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here, that I just don't want other members to feel like they can't bring something forward because we don't have it prioritized over something that Mr. Marchant's working on. As policymakers and interpreters, we should be able to bring forward anything we want, regardless if it's using town resources. So that's just my personal stance.
Mr. Marchant had specifically asked for us to take a vote on this particular issue. Any other questions?
Asked for a vote or wanted input?
He asked for a motion to review and prepare recommendations for an amendment to the fire ordinance. In other words, it's a direction to him to participate in this task. He specifically asked us to do this.
So I'll ask the same question that Jen kind of asked. So is that the expectation in the future, is that if we want anything to be explored or done, we have to have a majority of the council vote to do so?
That's the expectation that Mr. Marchant has suggested that it would be wise for us to do. Yes. That does not mean, I'm sorry.
I don't want to gum up the works or discourage anyone from bringing up issues of concern. I think from a practical matter, the biggest issue is when staff is already loaded to the hilt with a lot of projects and work to get done. Any project that could be potentially either time consuming, cost consuming, or politically divisive or controversial, I think that should at least get some awareness by the entire board that we're moving forward on a certain priority or not. My lack of familiarity with the town and the history, and knowing that this particular ordinance pertains not just to the town, but to the fire districts, I did want to get some consensus from the board that this is something that the board as a whole wanted to move forward on right now, as opposed to something that maybe it wouldn't have been appropriate to move forward on for some reason that I wasn't aware of.
And also when this is in our agenda, it allows us also to look at tracking the timetable so that we can understand if things are being done. Mr. LeBlanc?
Just going back to the agenda item at hand, I fully support this, Mr. Marchant. I believe people should be able to enjoy a fire in the backyard without the fear of a police officer and a fire truck showing up. So just on record, I fully support this.
And just to go off that, it's also, it seems it's a law that everyone breaks with comfort. So I think having a law that is being broken regularly by our residents is worth changing.
And I'll piggy off that. Piggy. So just 2 things. One, I heard directly from people in the fire departments and the police departments that said they don't like to be called to be the wet blankets on this. It diverts time and resources away from other things, and they show up and have to be the party pooper and watch them put it out. And 2, I can confirm that the origin of this version of the ordinance dates back to when people in the Oak Haven plat would take their yard waste, put it in a pile in the street, and just light it on fire to get rid of it. And there were a few people who let the fire run and their house caught on fire. So from there, the reaction was to cancel and eliminate the opportunity to do any fires at all recreationally. So just wanted to throw those two out there.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, we've had discussion, roll call vote.
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
James LeBlanc,
Yes.
Hillary Lima,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Ann Dickson.
Yes, 5 yeas, no nays, the motion passes. Licenses, G1. Madam Clerk, would you please read the agenda item for G1?
Renewal Mobile Food Establishment License, JoJo's Cupcake LLC, doing business as JoJo's Cupcakes, Joanne Diorio, 77 Isle of Capri Road, Cupcake Truck. It's a yearly license.
Thank you. May I have a motion, well, before discussion, may I have a motion to renew this license?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion, Mr. Marchant, any comments? This is our reference page 41.
They did apply. Their application was complete, and after review by the police department, zoning officer, and the verification of their state mobile food establishment license, everything checked out.
Okay, thank you. Any comments by members of the council? Okay, roll call vote. Madam Clerk?
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Hillary Lima,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Ann Dickson.
Yes. 5 yeas, no nays, the motion passes. Next item is G2, reference page 43.
Application for new mobile food establishment license, Top Dogs and Catering LLC, Ryan Wiskowski. Sorry if I messed that. Okay. 353 Nipmuc Road, Foster Catering Truck yearly license.
Do I have a motion to approve this license?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Mr. Marchant, any comments?
Like the previous one, it has been reviewed by the police department, zoning officer, and they do have a valid state mobile food and establishment license. Everything checks out.
Any other comments by members of the council? Okay, roll call vote.
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Hillary Lima,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Ann Dickson.
Yes. 5 yeas, no nays, the motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The next item is G3. Madam Clerk, this is reference pages 45.
Exhibition and performances license, Michael P. Stefanik Charitable Foundation Car Show with entertainment to be held at Town Hall on October 2nd, 2021.
May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. Mr. Marchant, any questions?
This is a request for a car show that has been held previously in the past, and this year they would like to have it here in the town hall parking lot on a Saturday. I've given permission for it. They do have a traffic and venue plan to accommodate people with overflow parking available at the commercial industrial building next door. And their police records check had no issues, as well as the zoning officer.
Thank you. Are there any questions by members of the council? Is there someone here to represent the Stefanik Charitable Foundation?
Yes.
Thank you. Could you come forward, please? Your name and address, please.
Julie Stefanik, 60 Whitman Road, Coventry.
Welcome. I have a question. What is the goal or the purpose of the foundation?
The foundation, well, we're planning to purchase some equipment. We'd like to purchase something for the town of Coventry, whether it be the GoTech or the high school. we were going to do sponsorships, but I'd like to buy a piece of equipment in Michael's memory, maybe a welder or something that they could use. And a lot of the students will be able to use that. That's part of our mission. And the other is also, so the passion was aviation, something to work with the Young Eagles program.
Okay, thank you for that information. So this is a nonprofit organization?
Yes, we have a 501(c)(3), we're a nonprofit charity.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And I was also like to ask the council if they would waive the application fee, as it is a charitable foundation.
Yes, we're going to take a vote to approve the motion, and then we're going to take another vote. We'll put forth the motion to waive the fee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Hillary Lima,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Ann Dickson.
Yes, 5 yeas, no nays. The motion passes. I now make a motion to waive the fee for the exhibition and performance license for Michael Stefanik Charitable Foundation.
I'll second the motion. And just for some discussion, so we had inquired with town clerk and town manager about the waiving of charitable fees for these types of events. And so we estimated that this is less than $2,500 a year. And I think it's actually well below that. We were just averaging how many of these we've seen over every agenda that we've seen since January. So I know at least a few of us had asked, how much does this equate to for the year?
So thank you for that piece of information, because people are very concerned about when we waive fees, what does that actually mean and what is the impact on our budget? So thank you for bringing that forth. Roll call vote, please.
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Hillary Lima,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Ann Dickson.
Yes, 5 yeas, no nays. The motion passes. G4, Madam Clerk, this is reference pages 47 for us.
New Class F license, St. John and Paul Parish Corp. Comedy fundraiser on September 24th, 2021, 8 to 10 p.m.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Mr. Marchant, any comments?
We received the completed application. The police and zoning official has reviewed it, and it all checks out.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a similar motion after this one is done to waive the fee.
Excellent. So we'll vote on the motion to approve the license. Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Hillary Lima,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Ann Dickson.
Yes, 5 yeas, no nays. The motion passes. Mr. LeBlanc,
I'll make the motion to waive the fee.
do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Hillary Lima,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Ann Dickson.
Yes. 5 yeas, no nays. The motion to waive the fee has passed. Madam Clerk, please read agenda item H1, reference pages 49.
Approval of bargain and sale deed for a total cost of $1 for fire alarm building located at 1111 Main Street, Plat 45, Lot 31, to be conveyed to Weston, Rhode Island Civic Historical Society, subject to reverter historical easement as per Rhode Island General Law 34-4-29.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion. Mr. Goran, please explain what is meant by a bargain and sales deed.
It means that we're conveying whatever interest we have in the property. So with this particular piece of property, the tax assessor has always treated it as town property. I could not find a conveyance into the town. So the proper way to convey in such a situation is to do a bargain and sale deed saying we're not warranting that we own anything here, but to the extent that we do, we give it all to you.
Okay, thank you very
And then
much.
the restrictions are just typical for historical property that's being gifted to a charity for a specific purpose. So
Before we call Ms. Jacobs up to just give some idea about the plans for this building, I'd like to ask Mr. Marchant if you have any comments about this.
When I started, the town had already done a bid to sell this property, and along with some other properties, and the Western Coventry or Western Rhode Island Civic Historical Society had put in a bid for $1. And at the time I came in, I wanted to make sure that the town's interests were protected in preserving a historical building or a building of historical significance beyond the time frame that the society might be interested in it. So in the interest that they couldn't just turn around and sell it to a private purpose or demolish it or do something, it would come back to the town for a long-term interest, and the town council would be able to have another opportunity to make a decision as to what happens with the building. So that's why there's a reverter clause. I had a wonderful tour with Ms. Jacob of the Payne House, and I was extremely impressed with their volunteers and the level of commitment they've put into preserving the history and telling the story of Coventry. It's absolutely a wonderful experience. I walked through the fire alarm building with them, and they are very enthusiastic and have great visions for how to memorialize the history of the fire service in that building and maintain it as a museum and as an accessory space for public events that they can make available to private parties and for various functions. So I think it's a very exciting and positive use for this building that's otherwise not being utilized very much.
I'd like to invite Mrs. Brenda Jacobs, President of the Western Coventry Historical Society, to come forward, tell us a little bit more about the plans for the renovation of the property, the use of the property, and then we'll have council members have questions for you, I'm sure. So give your name and address, please.
Okay, my name is Brenda Jacobs. And I am actually.
Excuse me, raise the microphone just to.
Okay. Is that better?
Try that.
Okay. So my name is Brenda Jacob. I live at 214 Plain Meeting House Road in West Greenwich, Rhode Island. But I am the current president of the Western Rhode Island Civic Historical Society, and we maintain and own and operate the Payne House Museum on 7th Station Street. We actually just have a couple of questions that we just want to make sure that we clarify, so that in 100 years, when there's questions about the building, we have it on record. And first of all, I want to thank everybody for having us here and entertaining this resolution for us, because we are very excited about restoring the building. We just want to clarify the lease. I did talk to the town manager about this, is that we want to make sure it doesn't limit us to being able to rent the building out for educational purposes and meetings for different guilds and various organizations. And currently we do that at the Payne House. It's a source of revenue for us. We don't actually, we just want to make sure that that's included in there, that we're not limited to being able to do that with the word lease being in there.
Well, let us just ask for that clarification. Mr. Marchant.
The agreement does not preclude that from happening. We only want to make sure that they're not going to lease it to a marijuana dispensary and make it something completely different.
No worries.
Thank you. Okay. That's
maybe
question.
a bourbon factory.
For example.
All right. We need one of those.
Okay. So that's question number one. Continue, Ms. Jacobs.
And then the other one is on line 2. As far as us being able to keeping the property historically significant, that is our ultimate goal. I just want to make sure, from your perspective, that there's no time limit on us. We are 100% volunteer. We're 100% donation run, and we also depend on a lot of grants for restoration. And we have gotten prices on just making the building weather tight, and that's currently $46,000. So it is going to take us a little time to get that money. And like I said, it's all volunteer. So I just want to make sure that there's no time restriction. And that, in a few weeks down the road, they're like, wow, they got the building and now they haven't maintained it, or they haven't, this is going to take some time for us to get the funds. In fact, some of the grant money that we're going to be looking to get, our first job is going to be to get it on the National Historic Register. And that's going to take a little time, and we can't even apply for grants until we're on the Historic Register for the grants that we normally apply for. So, I wanted to, to be known that we're going to do this to the best of our ability. And it is our ultimate goal to bring the building back to its pristine condition. So, so that was a clarification that I wanted to make sure that everybody understood, so that we're not getting in trouble down the road.
The former interim town manager, Mr. Wazikard, gave Ms. Ludwig and I a tour of that building not too long ago. And so we do realize that there is a lot of work to be done. Just clearing it out to begin with, getting the shell ready is going to take time. So we do understand that.
Right. And also at one of our meetings, we saw that there was talk about that there's still files in that building, and there's still electronic equipment that belongs to the fire department. So I didn't know if that was still going to be removed from the building, if they were going to remove those items.
Mr. Marchant?
On my tour of the building, we did agree that there might be some things you wanted to salvage for historical purposes. I think anything of any value to anyone has already been removed, but the town can help remove and junk the rest.
Okay, great. And then I understand the town saved the signs for the building, because one of the things we want to do is really keep it the way it has always looked. And I believe that there was a sign on it that said alarm building, and I believe there was the Stanley Merck sign. So I don't know where those signs are stored. I believe I was told that the town took them and they have them stored somewhere. At some point, can we get the signs back so we can put them back on the building?
I don't know. And if we have them in storage, we have lots of hidey holes where we store things, and I don't know if they have been saved or not. So we're going to have to kind of go do some searching ourselves. But if we find them, they're yours.
Oh, great. That's awesome. And then my last question is, currently we fall under, we are the Historic District Commission, and we are able to make our renovations and do all of our housekeeping and upkeep and maintenance without consulting with the Historic District Commission first, provided we don't change the exterior of the buildings. And I just want to make sure that that's also going to fall into place, because we are going to keep the building looking exactly the same. So I didn't know, I just want to make sure that every time we do a project, is that we have to come before them, because that does not fall into that scope. I just want to make sure that we are just going to continue as if we're still paying house and be maintaining, renovating, and restoring the building as we have been with Peyton House.
Mr. Marchant, comments?
Nick?
We're looking at Mr. Gorham now.
I think this was partially your language too, but I think the intent is, again, that as long as you're maintaining the building as it was historically, there's no concern. But if it were to depart from that before you take down a wall or put in a skylight, you'd consult with the town council to get their permission.
Yeah, no, we really plan on, there is the temporary wall that will probably come down to make the space. But other than that, like the exterior of the building, we want to keep it exactly the same. The only thing we want to do is restore it.
Sure.
So, okay.
I think just as a matter of courtesy, if you were to do an exterior renovation, say a wall was collapsing, that the town be made aware of it, for just so we know that there's a liability there and that things might not go well. So
right.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
haven't found that the wall, there is a wall on Holden Street. It's not collapsing, but it does, there is brickwork that does need to be done. And that is part of the scope of work that we'll be doing.
sure.
And that, and also repairing the slate roof, but that's something that we would make sure that the town knew anyways, because I know that we have to put scaffolding up for that. So we would make sure, just like we would with the paint house, when we were taking the windows out. we make-
Building permits and
Right.
typical things. Yeah,
all that.
great. Thank you. We just want to make sure we have good communication all the way around.
Oh, yeah, and that's why I want to make sure that we are, we're able to have good notes now so that later on we all know where we stand. Is there any other questions that anybody has for us?
Yes, I'm going to ask, members of the council, do you have any questions for Mrs. Jacobs? Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Hillary Lima,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Ann Dixon.
Yes, 5 yeas, no nays, the motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate
You
this.
now have a building and we're interested in seeing the renovations.
Yeah, we're very
and-
excited about it. So,
We're happy.
and then how do I, will I be talking to the town manager about the transition, or how does that work?
We'll communicate.
Okay.
That'll be the simplest. I can sign the deed now that the council's approved it, and then we'll just work on the logistics after that.
All right, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. And we're doing Heritage Day Saturday, so I hope to see everybody there.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming this evening. Agenda item H2. Madam Clerk, please read the agenda item. Looks like there's another truck.
Awarding the following bid for the Department of Public Works, 2021 VacCon dual engine vacuum jetter truck with hydro excavation to Sanitary Equipment Company Incorporated in the amount of $409,703. This purchase is funded through the Department of Public Works operating budget, account number 1010-5-830-40603-000, capital leases.
Thank you. Mr. McGee, I'd like to take a motion and a second first, and then we'll get right into discussion, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
For reference pages for the council, it's page 51.
I'll make a
Make the
motion.
motion. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion? Mr. McGee, your comments, please.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Several weeks ago, the council approved a capital leasing program to be funded. There was a list from Public Works on 7 vehicles that were part of our request. The town council approved 3 of them at an earlier meeting. These are 2 more coming up, this item and the next item before you. And at the next meeting, we'll have the final 2 items, the smaller trucks, before you. They all are within the budget or under the budget that was designed for the capital lease program. And this is going to be, this item right here is going to replace our contractual lease that we have with a company that come in and clean our catch basins on a yearly basis. We will be able to perform that service ourselves throughout the year. During these climate issues that we're having, anytime we have any flooding, this will be able to vacuum any of the flooding areas. And we will also be able to take a neighborhood at a time and be able to, through the summer, is to be able to jet all the lines. We haven't been able to pay to get any of the lines jetted because of cost. And right now, it's only on an emergency basis. Every time we do that, the minimum charge is to have a truck come in for 4 hours. It's $600, $1,200 per day. And it's at their whim whenever they can do it. This will allow us to handle all of the storm drainage in Coventry with our own forces. So we'll have every area done, all the catch basins done, clean up the manholes, jet the lines. The outfalls and the detention bonds will be able to be cleaned with the jetter, and also be able to take all that sedimentation out to be able to help us meet the MS4 requirements from the State Department of Environmental Management. It'll also be here in the event of an emergency that we have a sewer issue, that this truck will also be available to be able to take care of that also. And we're before you tonight asking for an award be granted for this item.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Marchant, any comments on this?
Not unless you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, questions, Mr. LeBlanc.
Thank you, President Dickson. I have 5 questions. First one, is there going to be any additional headcount needed because of the additional work that we can now do rather than subcontracting it out?
There'll be no additional manpower we'd be asked for. We'll have in-house employees trained, and we'll dedicate several employees that will be properly trained for this, to be able to perform these tasks.
Okay, thank you. What's the cost per year? Because I see a total of $409,000, but what's the cost per year?
The total lease cost is $206,431, I believe.
Per year?
$206,431 for all his purchases. This is just,
This one piece?
it's about 75% there. He's gonna have, like you said, a couple more coming.
Okay. What's the interest rate?
1.26.
It's a solid interest rate. What's the warranties on the truck? How many years?
The warranty will be 12 months on mechanical, and it's 3 years on the chassis and engine itself.
Okay. And my favorite question, I always ask Mr. Marchant, can we use code funds rather than getting debt? We cannot on this? Okay, just wanted to ask. Thank you.
It's always good to check, Mr. LeBlanc.
Always.
Keep trying. Any other questions? Mrs. Shockley?
Can I just ask if over the next few years we, and this may already be part of the plan, but we're putting a lot of upfront money into getting new vehicles so we don't have these old, unable to maintain trucks on the road anymore that aren't safe. I'm just looking to see what our expenses end up being. Like, do we end up saving from what we were spending over the last few years on vehicle maintenance, on getting outside contractors to come in and take care of things? So I'm just curious about that.
We'll definitely be able to save money on the parts, on the shipping, on towing when these break down. And eventually, when we have our newer, we will be able to reduce the staff we have in our vehicle maintenance department.
Can I also ask, we're getting a lot of large vehicles. Do we have places to store them? Do we have garages? Like, are we making sure we're going to be really taking care of our vehicles?
We only have the facility that's behind here. So we have no garage storage place for any of our vehicles.
Yeah,
we only have the garage for maintenance. I'd be happy to entertain having a.
I just was wondering, as we move forward and we have all these brand new vehicles and we're very much exposing them to the elements, and I don't know how much that may take off their lives as we are getting these.
That question is very well appreciated and is a very important part of what I would call a strategic planning conversation about how we are going to manage our investments, protect our investments. Just as a preview for Wednesday night, one of the questions I want everyone to be thinking about every time we're making an expenditure is, how will this save the taxpayers money? How will this be sustainable? Is this the best use of those funds and along those lines? So we'll hold that thought. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. I mean, every time I go by the bike path or on the bike path and I look over the fence, I wonder where another truck is going to be placed.
We definitely have room for it, man.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Ms. Ledward, do you have a question?
No.
Okay. I have a question. On page 66, we have this Rhode Island General Law, Title 45, the Interlocal Contracting and Joint Enterprises section. Now, help me understand why we need to have this as part of our packet. What is this? How is this connected to the truck purchase?
This was provided to you as information on why we did not have to go out to a formal request for proposal. We utilized a national system called Sourcewell, and they go out and get the bids, and they allow communities to be able to buy off of this national bid. And I provided that information to you to understand Sourcewell's pricing and also the state law that allows this to happen. And that's the only reason why it's included there, is for your own knowledge.
Okay, so we're able to go to Sourcewell and they go out and get the bids for you?
They already have the bids. It's already been awarded on a national scale. We're able to buy on that because they already went through the bidding process. And that's acceptable by the state of Rhode Island.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that information. I wasn't aware of that. And I noticed that there's a list of the specifications for the truck And there seems to be a lot of, I don't know if they're extras or just it's standard equipment that we're looking at, but there's like colored cameras and so on and so forth. So I'm wondering, is this a well-packed truck or is this a basic model?
This is a basic model with a few additions. All of the trucks for the jet trucks that have this, because they're big jetting lines, these cameras actually will film inside with the jet to see if there's any obstructions or where the break in a line may be, so they can be repaired. The only add-on that we have here is called a hydro excavation package, which in areas where we have utilities, rather than digging up the road, this 12-inch chute will allow the water to be jetted in and suck it up at the same time, so that we can get a smaller excavation, especially over utility lines, and have less chance of any damage being done to those lines by doing the hydro excavation.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Mr. LeBlanc?
Just one follow-up. Have you talked to any neighboring towns and cities that have one of these? And
yes.
Okay. And what do they say about them? What's the benefit?
They love them and then another competitor, Vector, but they're about $100,000 more. And many of the communities that have either sewer programs or have a large enough community, all of Cranston, Providence, Warwick all have their own back truck. West Warwick has their own back truck.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Did you have a question, Mr. Singer?
That kind of answered my question. I was just going to ask how many cities and towns in Rhode Island have one of these? And then just out of curiosity, if we have an idea, what's the ROI? Like how long do we anticipate before this pays for itself?
Yeah, right now, we were spending about $72,000 a year on a contractual basis to have the catch basins done once a year in that short window of time when they could do that. We're looking at 5 years, which is well within the life of this, to have a return on investment.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
One last one.
Yes, Mr. LeBlanc.
Mr. Marchant, is the contract in the current year budget for the third party that we're using right now?
No, I'll tell you that. It's not included in the budget.
No, because when we built the budget, we talked about purchasing this vehicle instead of funding that contractor.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call vote, please. Madam Clerk?
Jennifer Ludwig?
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc?
Yes.
Hillary Lima?
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley?
Yes.
Ann Dixon?
Yes. 5 yeas, no nays, the motion passes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. The next item is H3, reference page 663, I believe. Madam Clerk, would you read the motion?
Awarding the following bid for the Department of Public Works 2019 F-550 Ford truck cab and chassis to RBG Incorporated in the amount of $136,790. This purchase is funded through the Department of Public Works operating budget account number 1010-5-830-40603-000 capital lease.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Ms. Ludwig. May I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Mrs. Lima, thank you. Discussion. Mr. McGee, comments about this purchase for this truck?
Yes, ma'am. The truck we're looking to replace is a 1999 leftover Verizon aerial truck. It's going to cost us more money this year to try to have the aerial bucket certified to be able to utilize. It is not on the road many times because it's wearing out, rot throughout the body. And we've also got a situation where we can't work on certain areas with that lift that we have because it's not a ground lift. This Dura lift is a ground lift to protect our workers that would be in the bucket, whether it be for tree work or for signs or whatever else we need it for.
Okay, Mr. Marchant, any comments?
No.
Okay, members of the council, questions? Mr. McGee, I have a question. How often do we use a truck like this?
Daily.
Daily?
Daily. We have an employee who is dedicated to doing small equipment repair, and he takes care of all of our signs and does all the trimming that he can. He hasn't been using this for the last 3 to 4 weeks because the truck has not been certified. And I didn't want to spend the money on a certification of a truck that we were going to go out to auction with, and hopefully this is going to be approved by the council since they had approved the capital lease program.
Okay, I do want to mention that our agenda items are showing not only the total cost, but also the account number from which the money has been budgeted. And I think that that is a very good addition, both for the council and for the public, so that we know that when we say it was part of our budget, people see that that is true. So we appreciate that information to be included in the agenda.
Thank you.
Any other questions from members of the council? Mrs.
Just a
Shockley.
clarifying question. Did you say the truck we currently have doesn't protect our workers from
It's not-
electrical lines?
Correct. It's not a grounded bucket that's on there. So they have to stay away from anything that could be a possibility of arcing wires, even though they're not working on wires. So we stay well below what the potential for that truck could be. And we have to hire outside contractors to come and do some of that work, or we could do it ourselves.
Any other questions by members of the council? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Hillary Lima,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Ann Dixon.
5 yeas, no nays, the motion passes. Thank you, Mr. McGee.
Thank you. ma'am.
Item H4, reference page 97. Madam Clerk, would you please read the agenda item for H4?
Awarding the following bid for the Department of Public Works. Trailer-mounted solar-powered portable message board to K&K Systems in the amount of $11,725.94. This project is funded through the reimbursement from Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency, document number 00108005112, in the amount of $12,009.74 for a 2015 snow event.
Thank you. Mr. McGee, would you, excuse me, may I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Discussion. Mr. McGee, comments, please, on this purchase.
Yes, this is a item that we've had in our capital budget for the last 5 years and not had any funding for it. Because it is for a safety that was done during the snow event, it was a state disaster. We were reimbursed this amount of money for 2015 employees and equipment that we utilized. It was the closest thing we've been trying to get, and I've been talking to Mr. Marchant at length about trying to get this message board that can be utilized for when we're doing work in neighborhoods to put this out and give proper notice to people in the neighborhoods. To have a message board here when we're having events that we could notify people. If we have an emergency, that we have evacuation routes, or telling people of flooding, we would actually be able to use that. We're one of the few departments in the state that do not have a message board. The state must have 50 of them. The police department has one, but they are restricted to what they can use, and it's only one that they can let out. So we're asking to utilize this so that the town can have their own, the public work can have their own message board to be able to put it up in different neighborhoods, whether it be for sweeping, whether we're doing drainage work on Coventry Road right now, to be able to notify people that there's either a detour or something that has to be done. It's just a safety issue that we're trying to put together and have the tools to make everybody safe.
Will this be used for, thank you, will this be used for other than when your crew is doing work?
Other than?
Yeah.
It can be. Yeah, absolutely.
I believe it's announced the budget before.
I mean, if Parks and Recreation needs to notify something, or if the library, anybody else, this is going to be a town vehicle, not just ours.
So in other words, if we're going to have a vote on the budget or a referendum, we could have a message. The message board could be right outside the town hall that
Exactly.
announce what's happening.
If we're open on Saturdays or there's a separate event that's going on, we can notify them, but laying it there in the front to notify people.
Okay. Mr. Marchant, any comments about this purchase?
I think it's a good investment, especially for protecting public safety and as a communications device for the public. I think it's very effective.
Thank you. Council members' questions. Mr. LeBlanc.
I think this question is for Ms. Mills. It's saying that it's funded through a reimbursement from 2015. So I'm assuming that that reimbursement's not in our current budget. So how are we actually funding this?
I obviously wasn't here in 2015.
It just came through RIPE this year. So we just received the funds, even though it's 2015.
5 years ago?
Yes.
How long took them to pace?
Yes.
Gotta love
Grants
that.
take a
Okay,
while.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Answer my questions.
So what are we planning to ask today for 2025? I mean, okay.
I'm sorry?
It was a joke, thank you. Okay.
I messed.
Yes, all right. I also have a question. There is the bidder also gave some references, and I always wonder, do we check references as a town?
Absolutely. And nobody had anything, but obviously they're not going to put the names in there unless there's a good bidder, a good reference. Everyone said that they provided a good product. And we had 6 bidders, I believe, and they came out with the lowest qualified bid for the product.
Okay, and have you actually seen this type of message board in operation?
Oh, yes. Not this manufacturer, but the message boards, yes. They're all over the state.
No, I saw pictures of it in the packet we had, and I was wondering if you had just seen this particular product.
I have not seen that particular product.
Any questions from members of the council? Okay, roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Jennifer Ludwig.
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc.
Yes.
Hillary Lima.
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley.
Yes.
Ann Dixon.
Yes, 5 yeas, no nays, the motion passes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good day.
You now have a message board. I should say the town has a message board.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, H5, Madam Clerk, this is reference page 122.
Awarding the following bid for the Department of Parks and Recreation. Replacement of the Herbert F. Payne Memorial Park tennis courts located at 1277 Main Street, Coventry, Rhode Island, to Classic Turf Company in the amount of $282,542. This purchase is funded through the 2018 Recreation Grant Award in the amount of $98,000 and the Department of Public Works, the Department of Parks and Recreation Impact Fees account 4200-500-52500-000.
Okay, may I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Thank you, Ms. Ludwig. May I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Mrs. Lima, thank you. Discussion. Ms. Blumenthal, welcome. We haven't seen you in a while.
Nice to see everyone.
Thank you. Please talk to us about the tennis courts.
In 2008.
I think speak up.
Oh, sorry. In 2018, the town received a recreation grant from RIGM for $98,000. And the process has been delayed a little bit, but we went out to bid, request for proposals recently and received 2 qualified bidders. And I am asking permission to move ahead with the lowest bidder.
Thank you. Mr. Marchant, any comments?
No, but I'll kick off with a question because we discussed this morning. And did you get the answer from DEM about the time frame?
So because the process was delayed, due to the way the courts are built, the post-tension concrete has to sit for a month to settle correctly. But over that, there is an acrylic surfacing sealant. Unfortunately, by the time the concrete settles, although they can do most of the work in the fall, we'll have to wait for the spring to finalize the project with the sealant and the lining. So the town manager wrote a letter to RIDM requesting for an extension to the spring. The person just got back from vacation, but I did speak to someone else at RIDM and they said that it's very likely that we'll get the extension until June 30th, 2022. So I would like to say this is contingent on that extension.
Okay, questions from members of the council? Mr. LeBlanc.
Just one question. I mean, I'm not in this business, so I'm not really sure, but why does it cost $282,000 for tennis courts?
That's a good question. So I did go to other communities. So because of the bidding process and due to the materials and with COVID, and it has gone up a little bit, probably $30,000 to $60,000 over the last couple of years. However, talking to other municipalities, it is on par with what it costs. But it is for a 20-year warranty, so it will last this town.
So if we have any issue, cracks or anything, that they'll come back and they'll cover it?
So a lot of it is covered. And 8 to 10 years, though, we are responsible for the sealant.
Okay.
And that could be up to $10,000 currently.
Okay, thank you very much.
Other questions from members of the council? Mrs. Shockley?
Just two questions. First, I just want to make sure I'm understanding, after this purchase, which is contingent,
right,
we'll have about $58,000 left in the impact fee account. Okay. And then is the product also good for pickleball? And I only ask because pickleball players have reached out about their desire to play and their love of the game. And I just want to make sure that the courts will be good for that game as well.
This is a multi-sport court. So originally, when I first came here 5 years ago, there wasn't actually a court. It was just concrete shards sticking out with grass growing out of it. There was actually no nets, no anything, and it was not playable. So in 2018, I knew there was a housing complex across the street, 55 plus. So with Caroline Wells, who was the planning director at the time, we spoke about it. This would be a really great opportunity to do pickleball, mini badminton, mini volleyball to cater to all abilities. It's also a really popular sport and a way to raise revenue by hosting tournaments and other events. So this is actually going to be aligned for pickleball, mini volleyball, badminton, and tennis, and they'll have adjustable poles. So anyone with any ability can adjust it on the court.
Other questions? Ms. Ludwig?
Director Blumenthal, can you just confirm, because I know generally where the vicinity is for the courts, but I don't remember. Is it just one tennis court? Is it a pair?
So it's one area that will be fenced in with 2 tennis courts and then lined with the smaller sport lines. But it's right behind the skate park and the girls softball field at Payne.
I can picture it in my mind. I couldn't remember if it was 1 or 2 or.
It's 2. So what we did was we actually, so to decrease the cost, my maintenance staff actually got rid of all the concrete and extended the court to the proper size. And we're also reorienting it. So it's not to face north-south instead of east-west. So when you're playing pickleball or tennis, the sun is not in your eyes. So it'll be very popular.
Smart.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, I have a question. The Parks and Recreation budget has been cut this past year. Are you going to get exactly what you asked for the previous year, the level funded, et cetera? So why this project and not something else? Because you haven't had full budget based on what you've requested. So why this and not something else?
So a lot of it, so this is capital. So a lot of the projects or with the budget was cut was mostly for programming costs as well as staffing costs. But this grant and the impact fees are not meant to be used for those type of costs for the department. So these are particular to the capital improvements and the multi-sport court.
What other projects do you have in mind? If you weren't doing this, what else would you consider doing?
So with the 58,000, I can talk to town manager about this. I would also love to build playgrounds in the community. I think it's very important. I've had a lot of interest, and we've had to, approximately 3 years ago, we had to get rid of a lot of our playgrounds because, again, metal shards were sticking out. They were rusted. They weren't up to proper codes. And it's probably been about 20 years since they've been replaced. The newest one would be right here at the library.
Okay, thank you. Other questions from members of the council? Roll call vote, please.
Jennifer Ludwig.
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc.
Yes.
Hillary Lima.
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley.
Yes.
Ann Dickson.
Yes, 5 yeas, no nays. The motion passes. Thank you very much. We're at agenda item I, public comment. Members of the public, if you wish to make a comment, please raise your hand, be recognized, and then come to the podium. State your name and address. We will also entertain comments from community members on Zoom. So are there any members of the public here today? We have
one.
We have two, and all of us. Any members of the comment and any members of the public like to make a comment? Okay, thank you. Do we have any comments from people who are on Zoom with us today? We have 6 people on Zoom? Okay, then we'll close public comment. May I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call vote?
Jennifer Ludwig,
Yes.
Jamie LeBlanc,
Yes.
Hillary Lima,
Yes.
Kimberly Shockley,
Yes.
Ann Dixon.
Yes, 5 yeas, no nays. The motion passes. The meeting is adjourned.